Hello guys, welcome back again. Ryan here from the London Craftsman, and thanks for watching. And today's video is all about making some budget doors. Maybe for your kitchen, your wardrobe, your understairs, your cabinets, anything you like. Just using some plain and simple sheet material such as MDF, OSB, ply, birch ply, something like that, and decorating them with some simple beading that you could buy, or you can buy all of these materials from any builder's merchant. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoy. Watch to the end, leave a comment, and yeah, thanks for watching. Okay, so first things first, you'll need to go into your kitchen, measure all your doors, whether it's your kitchen, your wardrobe, your cabinets. Go measure your doors as accurately as possible using a good quality tape measure, and measure them with millimeters, not centimeters. Make sure you get them nice and accurate. And you should have a little cutting list like this afterwards. So you're going to have length by width by thickness. And there are many places such as Moran's, B&Q, Wicks, all those sort of places that will cut your boards to suit. I wouldn't go for anything less than 18 mil, so that is 3/4 inch. And here are two materials. You've got MDF and you've got birch ply. Both materials are really nice and stable. The ply may be a little less stable. Once you paint it, may twist slightly. It's very rare, but as it's a ply, it has the tendencies to do so. And when you paint it, you will see the wood grain through it. MDF is perfect because it stays lovely and flat, and it's great to paint. And the best thing about it is it's very cheap. So my advice would be to buy MDF 18 mil thick, 3/4 inch, and that would be absolutely fine. Also, while you're there, make sure you buy some beading, because this is how we're going to be decorating the doors. Really cheap, about £4 a bead. Let's have a look down this end. You can see the shape of it. Very cheap. So you'll need to buy yourself a bundle of these. Just work out how many you need. Other materials you're going to need is a mitre block, a tenon saw, some spray glue, which is a mitre bond kind of glue. I buy mitre fast. I just find it's the cheapest and it's exactly the same as mitre bond. Any ready mix filler, or you don't need to buy a ready mix, you can buy the powdered stuff and mix up yourself. Square, combination square, pencil, decent tape measure, a chisel to get off any glue that might squidge out and dries, and a little brush. Don't forget your PPE, so you've got goggles, ear protection, and a mask if you're doing any cutting or any noisy work. So now we've got all our materials ready. Here's a little piece that I've got out. There's an offcut that I already had. This piece is 580 by 420 and it's 18 millimeters thick. When you do have your boards or you do get them cut, make sure you do look down them. Here we go. Always look down your board to see if it's cupping in any direction. As you can see, it's got the bow up. It's slightly bowing up. So I always have it so the curve is facing upwards and the hinges are underneath. So I'm going to be decorating the top face of this door with the beads, and that is the idea. Okay, so now I've got my door blank. I've got it facing the right way. I've got the belly up. That's the way I like to do it. I need to draw a border all the way round with a pencil, nice and sharp, using a combination square. I use these mechanical pencils. I just find they're brilliant. Nice, sharp, crisp lines every time. Set my combination to 100 millimeters. This is my preferred border. Yeah, to 10 centimeters or 100 millimeters. Once that's set, I like to just go around the whole parameter with my nice sharp pencil and my combination square. Don't worry about the lines. When you come to paint, they'll get covered. Or you can just rub them out at the end if you're going past the corners. For example, here we're going a bit too far. Never mind. It'll all get covered at the end. There we go. You can just do the corners, just strike a corner. But if you're doing longer doors, you'll need to know if you're gluing your bead on nice and straight, so you can follow the line with your beads when you glue it down, you've only got one chance with this mitre glue. So it's best to just to draw that whole entire line and all the way around. It's something for you to follow. Okay, so now we've got our pencil line on there. You can see we've got our border. Remember, you can do any margin you like. You can do 50mm, 60mm, 70mm. I quite like a 100mm margin when it comes to beading. When I come to making shaker style, I make my shaker style about 65, 70mm. But with beads, I sort of prefer the 100mm margin. I think it looks nice and classy. So now I've got the lines drawn on, I need to measure the rough length of all the beads. So this length is 380. What I'm going to do is just allow 50mm. So I'm going to say that is 430. And just for the sake of the video, I'm going to write it on here. This one is 215. So I'm going to say 265. 2 at 430. 2 at 265. And once we cut them to length, we're going to just then start with our miters. And now I've written my sizes on here. What you can do is just go ahead and do every single door the same way. Draw all the squares on, all your lines on, and just take your measurements, allowing 50mm. And once you've done that, we're going to just go and jump on the tenon saw and the miter block and cut those to length. Right guys, so now we're at the stage where we're going to be cutting the beads to length. So if I just show you here, on the end of every bead that you're probably going to buy from the shops, it always comes a little bit chewed up. So make sure you get rid of about 50mm of that, both ends. So first thing I do is just put that in my miter block, get my tenon saw, and just chop about 50mm off the end. There we go, get rid of that. And now we've got two sizes at 2 at 430 and 2 at 265. So 430, remember they're oversized, so we can just mark them on there roughly. 430, 860. There we go, that's just two of them added up. These are the biggest ones, so I'm going to cut them square first, cut them to length. There's one. So I don't have my nice new tenon saws, my wooden ones, but they're on site. I'm doing a reception desk fitting this week, so all I've got is my spare one, which I've just lying around. So they're my two longer ones at 430, and then we're going to need 2 at 265. 265, 265, there we go, let's get those cut. Remember, you can do this, all your beads all in one go, and this is what I would do. I wouldn't just do 4 at a time. I'd get all my beads cut and ready, and I'd name the doors. For example, I'd just write on my door A, and then I could just write, for all the beads that are for door A, I'll write the back A. And that way you can go, okay, well these are all A, ready for door A. And you can do door B, door C. If you've got 10, 20 doors to do, makes it really simple. I like to do things in processes. For example, I'll mark out all my doors in one hit, then I'll cut all my beads in one go, all to the rough length. Then from that point on, I'll then just cut one bead at a time with one mitre, glue it on as we go along, one bead at a time. Okay, so I've got my door laid out on the bench, I've got my mitre block set up and my tenon saw, my 4 beads. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and mitre the left hand side of every bead, as you can see here. I've done that one. Left hand side. Put it in your mitre block. Remember, you've got 50mm to play with, so one, 2. That's where I could have done with my decent tenon saws. 3. 4. 4. There we go. Now we've got 4 miters, all on the left-hand side. The next thing we're going to do is place our beads. I'm going to start with the longest one. And we're going to just place that mitre, the tip, as close to the corner as we can. And what we're then going to do is just come over this side and just mark the line, this line, directly on the tip. So we're just going to square that over a tiny little bit and then put that in our mitre block, and that is where we need to start our mitre from. There we go, nicely just taken the line off. Place that on. And that works lovely from tip to tip, absolutely spot on. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is just do one bead at a time like that. And I'm going to glue them down as I go. I'm not just going to cut them one by one and then just glue them up all in one go. I'm going to just cut one, glue one, and that way we'll get much more accurate results. So first things first, just dust your work off. Get your spray part of your glue and just spray the inside of that line. There we go. While that's evaporating, because that part needs to evaporate, we're then just going to get our beads, and we're going to just do 2 nice beads here, one at the bottom, one at the top. Don't worry if you just go over, because we can clean it up at the ends. But remember, when you look down a bead, it's most likely going to have a little bit of a curve in it or something like that. So when you're gluing down, you just need to make sure that you glue it down in the place where, you know, you could just manipulate it as you're sticking it down, okay? Getting a shadow here, so I turn it around. So now that spray part is on the door, I'm gonna go and get my glue. One bead at the top, wrap it round, one bead at the bottom. As close to the edge as you dare, without squidging out. Line up at the corner. There we go. There you go. Make sure you just follow that pencil line. Give it a little push down. There you go, that's one bead down. Like I said, there's a little bit of glue that came out the edges, but don't worry, we'll clean it up at the end. So with our chisel, we'll just literally just run past it. Just get that off. That's what we're going to do right at the end. Okay, so that's the first bead done. Let's go ahead and do the second. And we're going to just work our way around in a clockwise direction. And this is why it's so handy that we've got the left hand cut already done on all of our beads. So this one's gone down. We just simply place the pre-cut piece up against the other mitre, get it nice and lined up, and then we're just ready to strike our line. And all we're doing is striking this line that we've got here up against the back edge of the bead, like so. And we're just going to cut a mitre the opposite way of this one. So let's go ahead and place that in the mitre block, like so. Got our turn saw, and we're just going to let the weight of the saw, we're not going to push down, just the weight of the saw do the work, even if it takes a little bit longer. That way you get nice results. There we go, nice crisp cut. And we can then just give that a dry run. There we go, lines up nicely there. So again, I'm going to spray that, the spray part. Don't need to put too much of that on. Any other day I'll be taking the label off, but just for the sake of the video, I'm not going to bother. Put plenty of glue on. If you skimp on the glue, you may find that when you paint, you may get gaps appearing. Okay, so follow the lines all the way around. Line it up with the mitre here and just push down for a few seconds. And it's as simple as that. Okay, so that's the second one done. Third one, left hand side's already been done. Placed it up against the mitre. And there we go. Same process every time. Got a line there. Get it nice and accurately placed against the mitre and the mitre block. Hold it nice and tight, the bead, and just let the weight of the saw do its work. Job done. So when you look down this one's a little bit bent, so we just got to be careful when we place this on. We may have to manipulate it a little bit. And so remember that we need to wait for this to evaporate before we glue the bead down. That's the way it works. Let's put the liquid part on. There we go. Place up against the mitre, use your 2 fingers as a guide to hold it there, and then just eye down the rest of the pencil line and put pressure in. Sometimes you just need to put pressure there and then you can manipulate it over a little bit if it's bent. Just got to think outside the box. A way of holding it. If they're longer, remember you can get someone to give you a hand to put pressure down. Don't worry about all the glue squidging out. We'll clean that up after. Okay, last one. So this one, it's a bit awkward to get this in and get our pencil line here. So what we're going to do is just turn it around, line up this edge here nicely, and then we could just stripe this line, like so. We're going to come off this right at the bottom here. I'm going to take the pencil line off, so it fits nice and tightly in between the remaining mitres there and there. There we go. So that fits in nice and snug between those 2 mitres. You always get tiny little gaps in between your mitres, no matter how hard you try. There's always little discrepancies here and there, and that's why we've got the filler. So spray that edge once more. Once you've done a few of these, you'll be getting them done in no time. For example, if I was doing this without filming, I'll probably have this whole door done in 3 or 4 minutes. Line up the mitre, line up that mitre, and pressure. And there we go. So nice and tough, really, really strong fixings. You're never going to get these beads off once they're fixed with this mitre glue. Right, so a couple of processes left to do is to fill all the little gaps, take off the glue that's squidged out, and then just take the arises off with a bit of sandpaper. So first things first, let's get a chisel. There are a couple of ways. Either just get your chisel and just slide it forwards. Just make sure you don't dig into the MDF. The more you do this, the more you glue up, and the better you get, the less glue you get squidging out. There we go. You can always use a little bit of sandpaper. Get some P240. Okay, so that's all the glue off. Give it a little dust down. So now we need to just now fill these little gaps. And what I'm going to be using, I use for most of my stuff and filling MDF edges, is this ready mix jointing compound, what you use for plastering. you know, obviously when you do your doors, you're going to have to sand all these edges up as well. That's another video in itself. I already have made a video on how to prepare MDF edges and how to take the sharp arises off and prepare them. So make sure you watch that. That way you'll be able to make these doors from start to finish. This video is only really showing you how to decorate it. So I'm going to get a little bit of this out and use my finger. There we go, tiny bit with my finger, and just put a little blob in each corner. And all I do is get my brush and work it in. Simple as that. If you start putting it in and leaving it, thinking that you can sand it afterwards, you're wrong, because it's gonna take an absolute age. I've seen loads of people put filler in, let it dry, and then they're just sort of getting the sandpaper in there, trying to get it out. It's never gonna happen, and it's gonna ruin your joints. So get your filler in there, and while it's wet, just give it a good dig with a brush, a little wipe, and before you know it's filled those gaps and wiped off all the excess. So now we've done that, ultimately we should just leave that 10 minutes or so to dry, but for the sake of the video, the next step we need to do is just take arises off these sharp corners of the beads. And that is all you have left to do on the doors. Give them a little tickle, just in case there's any remaining dirt or filler stuck to them. Arises off. You're going to be using P240. Nothing rougher. 120 will just scratch it up. There you go, that's all you should really need to do. As long as your beads are nice and clean. As long as your beads are nice and sound when you bought them. As long as they're not all chipped up, then you'll be fine. So, apart from the edges, that is basically how you make your kitchen doors nice. So, and that is just about it. Not much to it, is there, guys? So you're going to be basically measuring your doors, if you've already got them in place. If not, take good quality measurements, get someone to give you a hand to get your right sizes. Get somebody to cut them for you, unless you've got a plunge saw or a table saw yourself. Mark your border all the way around with a combination square. Cut your beads 50mm over length and cut them all in one go. Mitre all your beads on the left hand side so you're ready to go. And then you just simply putting them in place, marking, cutting, gluing. Put it in place, marking, cutting, gluing. And before you know it, you've got one done. Ready to fill and sand. And as you've just seen, I've just done that just there. And that is ready for priming. So there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed that video. If you've got any questions, just send them through. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I hope that's been some help to you. All right, guys, so see you in the next one. Have a nice Sunday. Ciao for now.